Hello and welcome to Vets Clinic Live with me, Joe Ingles.
Me, Jez Rose. Hello.
Hello, we've got a fantastic show for you today, and it's a themed show for the first time. It's all about fears and phobias. Anything particularly scare you in life, Jez?
Other than you.
I was going to say my biggest phobia is men with beards.
Do you know? It's not what you said last night. No. You know, a friend of mine has a phobia of celery, a genuine
Really?
phobia of celery.
Actually, I know someone with a phobia of buttons.
Buttons?
Yeah. It's strange.
I don't
people
think
are scared of.
genuine phobia and buttons are three things that actually should appear in a sentence.
Out there are people with button phobias. If you have a phobia, this isn't really in the script, but if you have a phobia, let us know. Go onto our Facebook page, tell us about your phobia or your pet's phobia. I've told people about this before, but my dog Jack has the most strange phobia in the world, which is hiccups. And he came to us, he's a rescue dog, don't know his background, but he's the best behaved dog in the world, but if he hears hiccups, he's off.
Yeah, that's sad, isn't it?
Well, it is sad.
It is sad, but you're not telling the full story.
Which is?
That when he hiccups, he runs off to the pub.
Well, that is true. To further complication to this, he does run to a pub if he can possibly find one. So
it's not all bad.
But the answer to this, all other phobia and fear problems are going to be revealed later on in the show. We're very excited to be joined by a real expert in the field, which is Sarah Endersby, who's a veterinary expert from Seva. They're the company who are behind products like Fellaway and Adaptil, so products that we use as vets and you recommend as behaviourists. So that's coming up later in the show, which is very exciting. We've also got this week's Swindon's Needy Dog of the Week, who's a cracking little dog called Jack. So he's coming up later on, a bit of video about him. So if you're in the market for a dog, keep watching, and we're also going to be talking to Jessie from Swindon's Needy Dogs on the sofa later on. We've got your Q&A, haven't we?
Yes, we've got loads of questions this week, because I think of the phobia special. Everybody's getting them in quick before fireworks season starts. But there's some unusual ones as well, so stay tuned for that, some unusual questions. It's got difficult this week. I sometimes wonder whether actually lots of the questions are just you. After maybe a couple of beers at home, you think, right, how can I catch him out next week?
My dog has hiccups.
Love, Carol, from Elaine.
I've been scuppered. And excitement, we've got another fantastic competition on the back of our recent competition.
Another one.
This is a biggie, and we're doing it on Facebook, and it's all about planking. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. You've never heard of this, have you?
Well, no. I was given a personal demonstration.
We've got a picture, I think, of what is planking in the human field. This is some random weirdo demonstrating the planking pose here in the Vets Clinic prep room. And the idea is that it's just in people, it's people adopting strange places, like you can see in this photo here. This is me lying across our tub table, and it's adopting this pose of being very rigid, sort of, like a plank, really. So we thought, let's extend this to pets, and perhaps it might be asking a bit much to actually get them to adopt this pose. So we thought we'd extend it a bit and just go with the concept of pets in peculiar places. So pets in funny places. I don't know if we've got a photo of any of those. Well, I don't think we have, looking at the blank faces, but the idea is that we've got this, if you could take pictures of your pet in a funny place, so it could be the pet, like Archie, the rescue dog we had here on the back of the sofa, it could be, I don't know, pet sort of...
Peeking, I like that thing when they peek. If you catch them at the right angle, it looks like the dog's like peeking behind the sofa like that, and they can't really see you, like, oh, can they see me, can they not see me? And I had a raccoon that used to sit, when I sat down, it used to sit behind me, and all you could see was its tail sticking out, and it looked like I had a tail. So then I adopted this really cool thing where I got a fake raccoon's tail and pinned it to the back of my jacket. So whenever I do like award ceremonies or lectures or something, sometimes just for a bit of fun, I might pin the tail.
God, they must be great.
I know, hey, what a card I am.
Have you done many recently?
No, just that one.
Anyway, so just to tell you a bit more about this competition, so it's called Pets in Peculiar Places. The details are on our Facebook page, and we want you to email us your photos of pets in peculiar places.
Can I ask a question very quickly for your benefit? Is it a forced peculiar place, or is it that you naturally catch them in a peculiar place?
It can be either. Obviously, we don't recommend sort of stapling your dog to the ceiling.
Kittens in microwaves.
No, nothing like that. So it's a place where they're happy. It could well be a place they naturally choose to go to, or you might encourage them with a bit of a treat to lie in a funny position. But as long as they're well fed, looked after. So we want you to email your photos, and we want you to register on vetsclinic.co.uk to register. It's all free of charge. Just register on there, and then send us an email to media@vetsclinic.co.uk. That should be on the screen for you now. So media@vetsclinic.co.uk. The deadline is the 19th of October, so you've got 3 weeks to get your photos in, to get training your dog, get a bit of clicker training perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And do some things.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to put all the photos out on the Facebook page, and we're going to get you, the public, to vote for which one you like most. So the photo with the most likes will be the winner, and the grand prize is none other than a consultation here at Vet Clinic with your vet of your choice. Or if you're not in the local area, then a great big hamper of Vet's Kitchen goodies, and we might throw them all together.
That's incredible.
It's a really good prize, I think.
It's a very good prize.
So get snapping, get your photos into our email address, and we'll talk about this more as we go along. But so 19th of October is the deadline on that. So
Planktastic.
Planktastic, and we want to see you
Planking.
I think that's planking. That wasn't planking. Moving on, we've got news of another not competition, but we are doing a charity event for our friends Guide Dogs, and this is going to involve us throwing ourselves off the top of the Swindon County ground, which is the big football ground, and apparently we've been roped into abseiling.
Roped in?
I've worked on that for a long time.
That's very good.
So we've been roped into abseiling off the top of Swindon County ground, and we want you to support us. It's raising money for Guide Dogs, which is obviously a fantastic charity. You can support us by going to our Just Giving page. Details should be coming up on the screen, but I'll give it to you anyway. It is justgiving.com/vetsclinic, and you can register, and any donations, however small or large, will be gratefully accepted on there. We're hoping to raise as much money as we can for Guide Dogs. And you never know, we might arrange it for Jez to have a little accident during the.
That's not funny.
Sorry, that's not funny, isn't it? So we thought before we get on to the main meat of today's subject, which is all about fears and phobias, we've realised we've actually come to a bit of a milestone in the clinic. We've been open for just over a month, and we thought now is the time to celebrate our month anniversary.
Another birthday party.
Another birthday party. We're not having a party, we've just got a little video we put together with some of the highlights of things that have happened during the first month of being open here at Vet Clinic. And then once we've finished this, we're going to come back, and Jez, you're going to be talking to Sarah from SIFA. This really has happened. I think you all agree when you walk in, it's such an amazing place. They don't understand what happens with their pets. You know, they bring a pet into a surgery and they get taken off behind a closed door, and then they don't know what happens, and they don't know how well they're looked after, and they don't really know what goes on behind those doors.
I bought muffins today. They're upstairs. Chocolate chip. I can't really function with that. Sushi stained me. Hey, welcome back. Isn't it fantastic? We've been here a month. That's really cool stuff. And next to me is the wonderful Sarah Endersby, who has the very illustrious title of Small Animal Veterinary Advisor of SIVA. Is that right?
That's right.
So I'm joined today by a very, very, very important lady in the veterinary world. So Sarah, just so that everybody at home knows what on earth a Small Animal Veterinary Advisor is and does, what's kind of your day-to-day job? What do you do?
My day-to-day job is just very exciting, really. I get to be a vet, but not actually, unfortunately, deal with the animals, but go and speak to lots of other vets, people like yourself, and also talk to owners as well, and to try and give help and advice, obviously, with the products that my company, SIVA, have actually produced and sell in the country. So
Okay.
it's just really nice to be able to give lots of information
Yeah.
to people.
And the most obvious products that you, that for our phobia special today are, of course, Adaptil,
Yep.
which is the secret to happy dogs,
It
to
sure
quote
is.
the strapline,
It sure
and Fellaway, which is, funnily enough, the secret to happy cats, isn't it?
We are the secret to happy pets.
It's not much of a secret anymore, but you need to work on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
as
yeah.
a strategy,
Secret's
as a
out.
company strategy. So because we have our phobia special today, that is why lovely Sarah is here to talk about those things and also give us your very professional advice. However, first of all, can we talk about the Build a Den competition?
Yes,
Can we talk about that?
please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So SIVA, the manufacturers of Adaptil, have had this Build a Den competition. Is that right?
That's
Is that what you've
correct.
called it?
Yeah.
Right. So what on earth is the Build a Den competition all about? Because I was really good at Lego as a kid, but I never did a den.
Yeah, we
So
want
what was
a den for your dogs, because dens are so important for
Yeah.
dogs at fireworks time.
Yeah.
And we know that so many dogs are affected by fears and phobias
Yeah.
around fireworks time, that we want to make sure and get the word out there. There's something really simple and easy that everyone can do for their dogs at fireworks time.
Okay, cool. So what does a den look like, Sarah? I mean, I think we've got photos actually of a den, so we can show kind of what a den
Yep.
looks like and what it does. But just kind of talk us through that. What should
We
it
say
be?
a den, but it can be anything. So if your dog loves to go behind the sofa,
Yep.
and that's their space, they feel really safe and secure and happy there, then that can be where their den is. We can make it more of a den by putting blankets and covers, and so
Oh,
it's nice
cool.
and dark and quiet.
When
and
I was a
lovely.
kid, we used to call that a camp.
Yeah,
All right, so we've got the picture there, so everybody at home can see some examples of which you very kindly sent in today, didn't you? So that's
Yeah.
our little picture of a den and a doggy's den, all ready to snuggle up in. And in the studio here, we've got a kind of great big example of a den, and this is okay too, right? So
Yes,
this is a
definitely.
Pets Pods, which is this sort of incredibly sturdy and strong, I guess, well, it's a glorified dog crate is what it is, isn't
is.
it? And this would be perfect for a den too, right?
Definitely.
What I like about this is that it's translucent. The light doesn't get through, so it's somewhere kind of dark and cuddly and cozy to
Yeah.
go, and that's quite important sometimes.
That's
isn't
really
it?
important, and that's what you're trying to emulate in those other things, in a puppy
Yes.
crate or something like that. With putting the blankets over to make it dark
Absolutely.
and quiet and
Yeah.
away from those fireworks.
Absolutely, and that's, I guess, worth pointing out. You don't have to buy stuff, do you? You could get a cardboard box from your local
Yeah.
supermarket and put, like you say, tons of blankets in it, or perhaps a sheet over the back of the sofa so
Yeah.
it just shields the light a bit, or like you quite rightly said, just put a towel over your existing crate. And it's just somewhere really to go and hide, isn't it?
It is,
That's the
'cause
point of it.
That's the important thing. Dogs want to get away from what they're worried about to somewhere safe and secure. So the idea is that you're providing that for them, so
Yeah.
they know that they're happier and safe, so that they can cope better with what's going on.
Gotcha. And so, tell us about the competition. What we got to do? Is it still up and running? What do you win?
Yeah, it's up
We
on
like competitions.
Facebook, so it's
Okay.
on the Adaptil page of Facebook. So if
Okay.
you go on there and have a look, it's got all the instructions. But all you need to do is take a picture of your dog in the den that you've created,
Oh, wow.
and post it up there on Facebook. And the winners will win a nice dog bed, as well
Oh,
as some
cool.
Adaptil diffuse as well, which will come on to
Yeah,
why
yeah.
that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so listen, dogs, fireworks. We've got stuff here in the. We've got posters up saying fireworks are no fun for pets. We've got stuff all in the waiting room because everybody knows about fireworks not being very fun. What's the big deal about fireworks, huh, Sarah? I mean, I love fireworks.
We love fireworks.
The colours.
Yeah,
these
they're beautiful.
Hot dogs. Dogs like hot dogs.
Yep.
What's the big?
Don't have any hot
What's the big deal with fireworks and the fireworks
It's
season?
the noise. It's the noise for dogs, and they are worried about the noise. We understand. We know what fireworks are all about, and we just want to go and enjoy them. And it's great, and they're amazing, and we really enjoy them. But unfortunately, many of our dogs, and there's surveys out there that say about 50% of the dogs in the UK have some sort of fear or phobia, which is a huge number. And unfortunately, not everybody comes and asks for advice from yourself
No.
or from people like Joe,
Yeah.
which is really important. But it's the noise that they're really worried about.
And that's interesting, is it? Because people think that it's the lights and stuff, but actually dogs don't see colour spectrums in the same way that we do. For example, dogs don't see red; they just kind of see a grayscale version of red. So it's not necessarily the lights, but it's the lights are of course linked, aren't they, to the big loud noises and bangs.
Dogs are so clever; they pick up things so quickly, and so they hear the bang that they're worried about, but they're also seeing the lights at the same time. So it goes hand in hand. But because of that, they also work out when firework time's coming up. So much better than we do. Because they pick up all the signs that the date's changing, there's leaves coming off the tree, and we all get excited about it as well, don't we? So they pick up all of those
absolutely.
things.
And the really interesting thing about this and fireworks is the analogy I often give to owners is, you know, you've got if the door slams, right, or like the wind catches the door and slams the door, or your cupboard door slams, or you drop a pan and the dog goes, oh crikey, what was that? And they get a little bit spooked by it, don't they? Because it makes them jump. Now imagine a firework, of course, is in the sky, so the amplification, the noise is massive, isn't it? And of course they have super sensitive hearing anyway, so I think, just like most things that we talk about here, it's about understanding it from their point of view, isn't it?
Completely, it's thinking about them, and because it's very difficult sometimes, because we understand, we know, but we've got to remember that they've got no idea at all.
No, and it's not that they're dumb or they're stupid, it's that they are an animal. You know, we have this amazing cognitive ability, and as of yet, a dog hasn't designed a train system or a series of roadworks, have they?
No,
so, you know,
not yet.
Who knows? There's still time, right? I have met some clever dogs. So you guys at SIVA have this campaign that you've just launched about changing kind of guidance on fireworks and sort of putting a little bit of pressure on the manufacturers of fireworks to help dogs out. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we've got an e-petition up and running, because obviously if you get up to that certain number, then they can go and debate it in the House of Commons. But we're very concerned that really there is so many animals that are affected, and we're talking about dogs today, but also there's cats, but also rabbits, and there's horses that are out in fields that are really important too, and they don't get fireworks either. So we would really love firework manufacturers to not only have the safety advice that is there for us as humans about how we use it, but also to get people to think about their pets. So if they're having a fireworks in their back garden, to think about the pets that owners, their neighbours may have, and go and let them know and things like that. But it's just to jog people's mind to think about it.
I think that's a fantastic thing, I really do, because as with most of these things, you know, I say to people, if they say, well, we've got a real problem with the dog, and I've been told it's my fault, you know, I'm a bad owner. And I think that's a bit unfair, because the dog never came with an instruction manual, did it? It didn't come with a book telling you how it all worked and what to do with it. And a lot of the time it's just that people, you know, we have super busy lives, we don't necessarily consciously think about our animals first and foremost, and it's a case of just changing the way we think a little bit about them. So I think that's a fantastic campaign. And I think we should do more about it. So how do we get involved in that? Because I think everybody watching should do that.
Just got to find the e-petition that will be, that's online, and just sign up, because we just need as many people signed up.
So if we Google searched what, Adaptil Fireworks e-campaign or e-petition or something? I'll tell you what I'll do. Also on my blog, we'll find out for definite from El Capitan at SIVA. Yeah, and we'll put it on the Facebook page and stuff like that, because that would be really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And we might get a trip to the House of Lords out of that.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so there are lots of resources available if your dog is scared of fireworks, or cat or rabbit. You know, we say dog generically because that's what I deal more with, but it's all animals, like you quite rightly said, and horses particularly too, very spooky. And the fact that 50% of the UK's population is scared of fireworks, the guesstimate is that there are 8.2 million dogs approximately, kind of give or take. Nobody's really counted them, but there's a hell of a lot of them, isn't it? I mean, that's 4 million approximately dogs that are scared of fireworks in the country.
Number,
massive,
huge number.
And not enough's being done, I don't think.
No, and people often don't actually think about that it's actually a problem impacting on the welfare of their pet. They say, oh, he doesn't like fireworks, and he does this, that, or the other, but then they don't think about maybe looking into what else we can do, which would be really lovely if we could, because that really does affect the welfare of those dogs.
I mean, I don't get too sciencey and technical about it, but it's quite an interesting discussion that as if something happens that makes your heart rate increase, so if I shout boo like now, and to us humans, To us humans, our heart rate increases because your body goes in sort of fight or flight. So a little bit of adrenaline comes out. Adrenaline is the thing that makes your heart beat faster. And then what happens is it sort of levels out and then peters out, and we all calm down again, and we don't get all stressed out about somebody shouting boo for too much, too long. But with dogs, what happens is when there's a stimulus like a firework, the heart rate increases and then continues the production of adrenaline, which causes the heart rate to beat, continues for quite a while after that stimulus. Now, that on its own isn't necessarily a huge problem because, of course, we all deal with that. And if the dog's running around the field, the heart rate's going, and they deal with that fine. But the interesting thing about adrenaline is it promotes the release of a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol, of course, is the stress hormone, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a stress chemical. And it's that cortisol that's the big problem because there are studies that suggest it can take between 2 and 6 days for cortisol to reduce to a normal level in dogs specifically. So if you think, every time he hears a firework and then there's a few days of that cortisol and adrenaline level is all high the whole time and doesn't come down. So we use a number of different products here and that I personally recommend, and it'd be good to kind of chat with you really, see what you feel about them and have an honest discussion. Remember, I did buy muffins, so be gentle.
Yeah,
all right.
Okay.
So chewing, we know that chewing, and loads of people have a hollow chew toy like Squirrel Dude. Chewing is really good for reducing stress and anxiety and pacifying behaviours. So chewing's a good thing to get dogs doing. The thing about chewing though is that when dogs are super stressed, they don't eat, do they? They don't like eating, and that's the sort of like the litmus test that behaviourists and trainers use, is that they give the dog a treat, and if the dog doesn't eat, then you think, okay, we need to do something here because the dog clearly isn't very comfortable. So what we suggest that you do is you stuff that chew toy with really super tasty stuff that you think, do I give it to the dog or shall I have it? Dog or me? Dog or me? That's the kind of the dilemma you want to be in. So pate, peanut butter, but look at you, yeah.
I'm hungry.
A banana, some honey, really, really tasty stuff. Now the dog might still not be, comfortable enough to eat, but at least you've got something a bit more luring and tempting, and so you get a big payoff when they do come to chew. So chewing, really, really important. Get yourself a good chew toy. Thunder Shirt is another really cool product that we use a lot here and recommend. It's essentially a tight kind of t-shirt, really, isn't it? Like a sort of elasticated t-shirt. It's meant to be tight. Doesn't restrict their movement in any way. It's breathable, so they breathe. And the studies have shown that it has an 83% efficacy. So it works, is basically what that means in the large majority of dogs, and now for cats too. And it works by kind of giving them a hug. The tight t-shirt is a bit like swaddling a baby. That's the analogy they give. So rather than being on your own and thinking, oh no, I'm really exposed, it's kind of like your other half coming up behind you and saying, it's okay, don't worry, wrapping you all up, all right? I'll spare you from the jazz cuddle, all right? You'll get bits of beard stuck on you and stuff.
I'm worried about them too.
Everybody is. Just let me know if you see food. So that's the Thunder Shirt, and we have those here. And I guess the other thing is environment management, which is the freebie. It's the free one, and it just goes back to thinking about your dog and how they feel, doesn't it? So instead, if your dog's bed, like mine, and we're renting a house at the minute, and my dog's beds are right by a window because they can't be any other way. So they're right by a window, by a radiator. Now obviously the window's not ideal, is it? Because it's the closest bit to outside where they can hear all the noises and they can see the lights and the flashes and stuff. So they link those, so they begin to think, oh crikey, there's a flash, there's going to be a bang coming, and it stresses them out more. So environment management, what do we do with that? How do we make that better?
Obviously a really big one is that the dens we were talking about, which is perfect. Try and make sure they're away from windows, definitely. And it's a quiet spot in the home and have those, and the dog's happy with them. Yeah. Simple things to do are shutting the curtains so that you can't see those flashes and bangs. Have the TV on, have the radio on, be watching the computer, watching a broadcast from Vet's Clinic. You could be doing that, definitely.
Can watch this one again.
Yeah, so you're trying, it would be really good. So you're trying to minimise the impact of the noise and what's going on outside, inside. But the easiest, or most difficult actually, but simplest and
the easiest but most difficult.
no money,
Cheapest.
but difficult. Is how you react to what your dog's doing as well. And
absolutely.
It's always easy for us to give the advice of ignoring the behaviour they're doing, but actually it's really, really, really important.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to that in 2 seconds actually. And if you're at home thinking, oh, but I have all the lounge set up and we've got nowhere in the lounge it could go and the dog's bed's by the window, and you think, oh, I'll put it away a little bit, it's only temporary. You know, if you're house proud like we are at home, and you have to have your dog's bed in the middle of the lounge for a week or so, it's only a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
And your dog's going to be much better for it. Even during the daytime, sometimes it's a nice idea to manage the environment. You know, for example, your dog's fearful of other dogs. So if the dog sees dogs walk past and it goes, "Arr!" just put something like bin liners or something, or that nice frosted sticky back plastic across the bottom part of the window, so that actually you're managing the environment, so the environment is kinder for the dog too. So yeah, we want those windows shut, curtains down.
And there's one really fabulous thing you can do.
There's more cool stuff.
Yeah, is use Adaptil.
Oh, hang on, we're coming to that.
Oh.
She's got a shoehorn it in, look.
It's in the environment.
We're getting to that. Yeah, it is, I suppose. It's a product in my head.
Okay, important things you need to do.
Yes.
Obviously, windows and doors shut.
Yes.
Take your dog out for a wee earlier in the evening, and try and do that in the weeks leading up, so it's more of a routine.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to accidentally, then desperate to go, you've got to go out in the back garden and a firework goes off, because that could set up problems.
And the problem now is, of course, fireworks are off all the flipping time, aren't they? There isn't like a set day anymore.
No, it's sort of like a month.
Or maybe more, because of course sometimes it goes through to Christmas and then you've got New Year as well, haven't you?
Yeah,
so what I would do is I would absolutely say around about now probably isn't too early. Start taking your dog out a bit early if you can, so they get used to being out a bit earlier. That's really cool, isn't it? Get those blinds and curtains shut, music up, and create their den with all their comfy bedding and stuff in it. I'm going to come to your bit in a second. And then we can turn up the music, and that brings us nicely to another thing, which is of course through a dog's ear, and we use that a lot here. It's very simple piano music played by a lady called Lisa Spector, who's an award-winning concert pianist. In fact, we had a piano teacher in the other day who said, "Oh my word, this piano music is lovely, and don't they play so well?" So if you're watching Lisa, congratulations, you play very well, which you probably didn't need to know from me. It's a little bit patronising, wasn't it? Aren't you a good vet? That's why I've always got bruises. So it's calming classical music, which is the only, so far, clinically proven, scientifically studied music series that's proven to reduce stress and anxiety in pet dogs. It's incredible. It's called Through a Dog's Ear, and you just play it, like you said, loudly, so it helps drown out the sound of the fireworks, and it has a very acute reaction to dogs. It's very nice. And then, of course, how do we make the most of this environment? Well, then we come on to products like Adaptil and Fellaway. So there's three different products, aren't there, that are very useful. One is a diffuser. It's just like a little sort of air freshener plug-in, isn't it? And you want that ideally as close as possible to the dog's bed, don't you? Now, I had a little thought in the night. I've not asked Sarah this. It was in the middle of the night.
You're thinking about
I woke up and thought, oh crikey, I wonder if this is possible, right? Now, the advice given by Adaptil is that you plug it in near the dog's bed, ideally, don't you? And somewhere where the dog can be. And don't do what loads of people do, is they just plug it in and hope it works on its own, right? And we're going to come back to that whole principle in a minute, but you need doors shut so that the Adaptil can bind to oxygen, and then it works, doesn't it?
It's in the atmosphere.
In the atmosphere. In the air. So if you've got your window open thinking, oh, what a lovely day, and you've got your doors and people running through, there's not going to be an awful lot there. There'll be a little Adaptil in the corner going, please let me help, don't let me get sucked away, and then it won't work, all right? So that's what you need. And so there's the Adaptil diffuser. Can you, wait for the answer, don't take my credit for it, all right? Can you plug in your diffuser into like an extension lead so it's nearer the dog's bed if the dog's bed isn't near a plug?
You could do, so long as it's sitting vertical.
Ah, okay, right. So you need to sit it up.
Because it's got a mineral oil base, so you don't want that to be
pouring out,
lying and pouring over your carpet.
Or more importantly, over your electrical socket that you've plugged it into. Okay, so that's what I was thinking last night, because actually my dog's beds are near the window, because that's the only place you can go in my house, and that's where the plug socket is. But for fireworks season, we're going to bring their beds into the middle of the lounge, because that's where we spend a lot of time, and I'm going to bring an extension cable in and sit it sideways so that the Adaptil plug will in. That's okay.
That'd be lovely, really
Sarah
lovely.
says yes. The lady from Siva, she said yes. Now the other thing that you guys do is a spray, right? So it's a pheromone spray. We're going to come back to exactly what this weird Adaptil thing is that we're talking about. So you can spray the dog's bedding as well. So in their den and all around it, you can spray this.
You can't have too much Adaptil.
Can you not?
No, you can go Adaptil crazy.
It's not like perfume in the morning when I'm spraying the aftershave and people go, oh crikey.
Didn't like to say.
Enough of tester.
Nice. No, you can't overdo. So you can have your Adaptil diffuser, but you can also spray the bedding. The important thing to remember with the spray is it has got an alcohol base, which obviously smells. And we've already said that dogs have got very alert senses with their ears, but also their noses obviously are very alert. So ideally you spray it without the dog around, leave 15 minutes so the alcohol can evaporate before you introduce
And that's
them.
safe to put just on bedding and on furniture and stuff?
Obviously, if you've got some £1,000 sofa, please test it in an inconspicuous area first.
Round the back, just to make sure there's no reaction or anything. Can't guarantee anything in life.
Yeah.
And we use that here, by the way, in all of the rooms, in fact, at Vets Clinic, there are adaptable diffusers. And on the bedding and on the sofas, as you might see behind us, we spray the diffuser every, I think, 3 times daily. Spray the spray, I'm sorry, well done. Good job she's here, isn't it? You'd all be going, how do you get this stuff out? Spray the spray around everything, I think 2 or 3 times a day. Because it only lasts for a couple of hours, the spray, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yes, you need to top up.
But the diffuser, you can keep in the whole time, 24/7,
The
lasts about a
idea
month.
is to leave it 24/7 as well, so not to turn it on and off. It's designed to stay on, and it's inflammable, so it's not going to burn and cause problem in your house.
And there's another one, there's a collar as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
All right, and that's a collar, the same thing, you keep that on the dog the whole time.
Yeah.
So that brings us really full circle. We've been banging on about this. What on earth is Adaptil, and how does it work? Magic lady?
It's not magic. It's not magic, it's scientific.
Science. Show us your science.
It's a pheromone, okay? So pheromones are things that animals use to communicate between each other.
Yeah.
We do produce pheromones, but we're not very good at detecting them because we can speak, we can write, so we don't need to use pheromones too much. But dogs and cats obviously can't, so they're using those communications to give information either back to themselves or to others about what's going on with them. An Adaptil is a copy of the pheromone that a mother produces 2 to 3 days after she's had puppies. From the areas around where she's producing milk, because that's where puppies spend so much time. And the idea is it helps them feel relaxed and comforted and reassured where they are, because we want happy puppies.
Okay, fine. So it's not like they revert back to puppyhood or anything silly like that. It is just that sort of innate, instinctive feeling that actually I feel quite comfortable because of that very impressionable period when they were young that they had access to that pheromone.
Yeah, it's just that
exposure.
Reducing anxiety and making them feel comfortable with what's going on.
And we should say that, I was very flippant earlier when I said about show us your magic, but it isn't magic, and it is science, and it is scientifically trialed too, isn't it? Scientifically proven, in fact. Can we say that now?
Yeah, we have papers, we have lots of papers that actually prove that it really does work. And obviously these are looking at specific circumstances, and there is specific circumstance of firework is one that you obviously can look at, and we have shown that during the firework period using Adaptil can really make a difference.
I was actually, I've not shown you this, I've got 4 papers that I've got with me today, 4 scientific papers on the efficacy of pheromones and research done into pheromones, not attributed to you guys at all, independently, which all rave about, in different things in veterinary practice, you know, like whether they calm cats down before they have an injection and all this kind of stuff. It's fantastic, and it's been going on for years, isn't it? Probably, well, obviously way before the product came out, but it's not like it's suddenly a new thing. So it does work, but that kind of brings us on to the next bit, I suppose. Let me just double check, I've got everything on my little list here. I have, fine. Now, well, because we had so many things to talk about, we haven't got much time, because poor old Joe's been ousted this week, right? So we make sure he's got to come back. So, what I was going to ask very quickly about was, in fact, one of my questions later on today is somebody who's saying, well, you know what, I have a fearful reactive dog, and actually, it didn't work. I tried some stuff and it didn't work. Now, this is a little bit of a problem, I think, for both for behaviourists and for vets, is that it doesn't matter whether it's a clinical problem, and it's the same for doctors. I've got loads of friends that are human doctors, and they say everybody wants the magic wand. They want the magic pill. They say, right, what do I need to buy that's going to fix my dog's problem? Or what I've got a bad knee, how do I do it? And do you know the analogy I always give to owners is physios. If you ever want to earn tons of money, Sarah, go and train as a physio. Right? Have you ever had physio?
No.
Right. Speak to someone who's had physio. What happens is you go to your physio and they go bendy, bendy, twisty, twisty, flippy, flippy. Here's your little list and a bit of stretchy plastic. Go home and do that on your own. You think, yeah, I'm going to do that. And you drive home and think, oh, that feels good. 3 days later, you're having a glass of wine thinking, I can't be bothered to do that thing. And then 4 months later, you go back to the physio and see my shoulders playing up again. And they go, did you do the exercise? You say, no, not really. And it goes in that cycle. So you sort of get physio exercises, don't do exercises, back to physio exercises, don't do it. And that's how it works. That's sort of the same with people that have behaviour problems because we live a busy lifestyle with their animals, or a clinical problem. They kind of want that quick fix, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
It don't exist, does it?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. It'd be brilliant if it did, and I would really love to find it because we could make some money. But there isn't a quick fix to any of these things, and what what is really important for people to understand with Adaptor is it's making a difference in helping the dog feel comfortable and secure and reducing those anxiety levels. But it's not going to take away the behaviour that they've learned to cope with certain situations. You do need to have people like yourself having some input then into actually giving people things to do, ways to retrain the dog and modify their behaviour that they're exhibiting. But Adaptor's always going to be supporting during that time as well.
Which is why all of these things we recommend, not for you to pick one that you quite like the packaging of, or that you prefer yellow or purple or blue or whatever, but to use them together, because if you think, well, you've got something really effective plus something else that's really effective plus something else that's really effective, you've got triple effectiveness, haven't you, effectively, or hopefully, right? So you bundle all those things together into a really efficacious plan, which I guess brings us on to the next point, because you are Mrs. Vet, aren't you?
I am a vet,
You are. So if your anxiety is particularly bad, not yours, but if your pet's particularly bad, when, I mean, there are medications, aren't there, that sometimes we behaviourists liaise with vets quite a lot with severe behaviour problems. Sometimes we might have to end up looking at a prescribed medication route. And of course, the strategy is always first do no harm, isn't it? You know, we want to try and do stuff where we don't have to medicate first, ideally. But it may be that your dog's anxiety is so bad that they have to look at prescribed medications. What's on the market available for people, and how do they go about that?
Well, it's obviously the really important thing is to go and speak to your vet, because all of these drugs that we can talk about are actually drugs that have to be prescribed by your vet, so it has to be under the care of the vet.
So you should never, if you've got anxiety problems yourself, you should never think, oh, my dog can have a Xanax.
No, don't do that. So there are different categories of drugs that you can use. There are ones called benzodiazepines, so diazepam is one of those, which you could use as a short-term medication.
That's quite, to be fair, that's quite a, that's titrated, and so what that means is that you give a very low level first, and you sort of give a bit more to effect, don't you? But there are drawbacks with the benzodiazepines.
Well, with any of these drugs, you've got to be really careful to get the right dosing, because you want to reduce the emotional response that a dog's giving to whatever it is they're worried about. But they also could have a propensity to overexcite a dog as well. And obviously in that situation, if you're frightened and then you're overexcited as well, it's going to be a little bit difficult to manage. So you really need to take it steady and find the right dose for your dog for it to be beneficial. And we're not looking for sedation, it's not sedative effects, it's reducing the emotional response that you're giving to.
And in fact that's relevant, isn't it? Because of course previously I think the general strategy was sedate. Because if we sedate dogs, clearly they won't be able to know anything's going on. And then we found out that actually it's completely opposite. We used to sedate dogs on planes, didn't we, and animals, we send them over other countries. And now they don't do that anymore, simply because you sedate the dog, but they're still absolutely aware of all the noises, all the smells, consciously aware of all the things that are going on, but they're there in a kind of sedated, unconscious state and can't do anything about it.
It makes it so much worse.
Absolutely.
Because they can't even get away from what's worrying about them. So, we all feel really bad that that's what we did, but we didn't know, and it's really important once you learn about things, and obviously things have changed.
Absolutely, and that's the cool thing about science, is that we're always developing, always progressing. So talk to us about something like fluoxetine. What is it?
You know what it is.
Well, no, but they might not.
You can say what it is.
There are lots of different categories of drugs, because what I was trying to do was say that actually the diazepams, the benzodiazepines and the diazepam, probably wouldn't be a first line treatment, would they? Wouldn't be the first thing that a vet would say, oh yes, let's go for those.
No, there's lots of things you work up to, and there are other drugs, for example Xanax that you mentioned as well, that try and take away the memory of what's happened as well, which is really important to help a dog cope with it. But it's really important that you find the right drug for the situation that your dog is in, and obviously that it hasn't going to have major effects with livers or kidneys or things like that. You need to make sure that your dog is healthy in that respect as well before you start prescribing these drugs.
And things like fluoxetine, which is Prozac, basically, isn't it? Is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So it's a really fancy way of saying serotonin. Actually, you don't say that over here. How do you say it over
Serotonin.
here? Serotonin. I'm so sorry. I did a lot of study in the States. I travel a lot.
Just let you get away with
Serotonin. I say veterinarian. How do you say that here?
Vet. I just would say vet.
Vet. We'll say vet. Right. Okay.
Why make it different?
Serotonin.
Serotonin.
I'm so sorry. Serotonin is the happy chemical in your brain. And what happens is your brain uses up serotonin in order to be happy, but then your body carries on producing it. But there are instances where the body will use up that serotonin and there won't be any left. And that, of course, is the what happens if you're depressed or not feeling, if you're feeling a bit blue.
It's
isn't
feel
it?
good.
Absolutely.
Feel
You don't
good.
have any mojo, you don't have any juju, you don't have any feel good left, all right? Because it's all depleted. So you take things like fluoxetine and those serotonin reuptake inhibitors that prevent your body taking as much serotonin. So it builds up a level of the serotonin. So it builds up a level of the happy chemical inside your brain, so your body can actually feel a bit happier again.
Yeah.
There are drawbacks with those too, though, right? Because it takes a long time.
It does. It's
on
a
average,
period of time.
8 to 12 weeks. In fact, more like the 12 weeks before you actually begin to see an effect. And sometimes they can actually exacerbate the existing problems. So when we use them for reactive dogs, sometimes it makes them even more reactive.
Yeah,
right?
you need to find the right cases to
Absolutely.
use it. And that's why it's nice to have a range of different
Yes.
drugs that you can use,
Yeah.
so you can use the right drug for the right situation.
But take-home message when it comes to prescribed drugs is?
Go to your vet and please speak to them about what's going on as well, because obviously if they don't know the full picture of all that's going on, then they can't help and get the right drug for your dog. So as we said, the draws back to it.
And drugs aren't always the answer, right?
No, definitely. And even if you go and speak to your vet earlier on, then actually it might be that you can put like things in place beforehand that actually we don't get to the stage where you need to use prescription medicines, which would be fantastic. But it's talking to your vet about things you might think aren't important. Yeah. Actually, if you record them and vaccinations and things like that, and then see another year that things are getting worse, then it's time to intervene and do something about it.
So listen, what about cats?
Cats are very different in that they're not developing fears and phobias to fireworks, which is odd and different. But cats must be remembered too, because we want them obviously to be inside and safe, because loud noises are frightening. And obviously if you're a cat and a firework goes off, you're probably going to scarf her. So ideally we want your cat to be indoors, and preferably get them microchipped, because if they happen to be outside and
they bolt cats, don't they?
They dash. They dash and then think about it afterwards.
So can I just pick up on something real quickly there, because that's really interesting. You said cats don't feel fear and phobias.
No, they don't develop them like that.
What is that all about? So we have a dog and a cat, and one does and one doesn't. Explain to us what the difference is there. Why don't cats?
You'll probably explain that better.
No, come
Over
on.
to behaviourists.
You said it.
You're the behaviourist.
Because it's all to do with learning, isn't it? It's all to do with the way the way cats, the way animals perceive what's going on around them. So the cognitive effect, isn't it? And the way that they pair consequences with what's going on. So, which is why dogs are easier to train than cats, right? So we know that, for example, cats don't feel fears and phobias in the same way that dogs do, whereas dogs will kind of anticipate stuff's happening, and cats don't. So come on, very quickly, because Joe's making yawning noises. Because he's jealous. It's because he's not here. That's all. When we have to listen to him drone on, as soon as we have a go, that's it. It's all boring. So Sarah, tell us what is available for cats. How can we help cats in the same way as dogs?
Yeah, definitely. Make sure they, well, not necessarily den, but somewhere really lovely that they like to be, that's quiet and away, because they like privacy. Cats love privacy. If that's under the bed at fireworks time, please leave your cat under the bed, because that cat's very happy there. But also think about Feliway. Because Feliway obviously is designed also, it's just a pheromone that cats...
It's the same thing, but for cats?
Well, no, very different.
Oh, okay.
It's not an appeasing pheromone, it's a pheromone that cats leave around their home territory to say that they're happy with all that's going on in their territory, and it's just a copy of part of that faction. So
so you're trying to mimic the happy factor that they feel.
Yeah, because territory is so important to cats. You've got to have the right territory for a cat to feel happy, and part of that is marking it with this part of the pheromone. So Feliway is a copy of that. That's the same for all cats. All cats will respond the same way, and it's just to make them feel happier with the environment, because obviously with fireworks we're changing their routine, we're keeping them indoors, which can increase their stress levels, especially with other cats with you. But that's another
It is a whole nother show. So listen, 5 key take-home messages, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember these that we rehearsed?
Did we?
So one of them is seek help early.
Definitely.
All right. So don't leave it till the last minute. Don't go, oh crikey, it's November the 4th. I'd best go sort that out. Nice and early. So now go to your vets now and say, actually, my dog's not, or my cat or my rabbit's not really cool with fireworks. Let's start a plan now. So that's number 1. And prepare. So think about how you're going to manage the environment. Get your resources together. Your adaptil, your thunder shirt, your through a dog's ear, your cat's thunder shirt, your Feliway, whatever it may be, your pet's pods, all those different things. Tasty treats. Those are really important. A chewy thing. And also rehearse, right?
Yeah.
Get the dog or the cat used to it. Get your dog out early for a wee, all that kind of jazz. And lots of classical conditioning to loud noises, right? So every time the dog hears a loud noise, you, throw lots of tasty treats on the floor, but don't fuss your dog, all right?
Yep.
All right, listen, we're fast cruising towards the end, and I've still got to do questions, so we're very going to quickly do our behaviour questions. And I'm going to keep you here, Sarah, if that's okay, because I think it'll be really good. And we've got a couple, we've got loads this week. Some of them actually are repeats of other questions that I've had before, so just bear with me. So Liz writes in and says, hi, hope you know some advice, so do I. We have a Springer Spaniel who is now nearly 2. She's great in every way, apart from the fact that she chases shiny objects, shadows and lights, okay? She's done this since she was about 8 months old, so it's quite a long time for those repetitive behaviours to be happening. And we've never encouraged it or given her attention for doing it, but it seems to be getting worse. Says here she bought a DAP plug-in, so a DAP is the old version for Adaptil, the diffuser, in case it was stress-related, and we generally ignore the behaviour, but it's getting to the point where she sits in the evenings waiting for shadows, and it's driving us crazy. So you created your very own shadow detection dog. Well done, Liz. The take-home message for this really, really quickly is it absolutely sounds like stress behaviours. They're classical stress behaviours. The captive example would be the tiger that paces up and down the cage. All right. So when you catch it early, when dogs chase shiny objects and shadows and stuff, it's fairly easy to get rid of that behaviour. When it's been going on a while, it becomes a self-rewarding, reinforcing behaviour. So they do it because it helps them calm them down. It's like tail chasing or itching or chewing, all right? You need to see a behaviourist, might even be worth speaking to your vet about this one too, because there's not enough information here for me to give you too much information, because I don't know how serious it is. Sounds like it's pretty serious. Try and distract your dog is the easy thing. As soon as they stop doing it, give them tons of fuss and the most tasty, amazing treat you could possibly imagine. So that's kind of like a management strategy. But do go see a vet and see a behaviourist. Quickly here, this is a very long one, but I'm going to read it quickly. Julie, 8-year-old Labrador, well trained, age of 4, fear phobia kicked in. Keep the story short, thanks for that, even though it runs into 3 paragraphs, I'm kidding. She tried everything, Julie, she could find on the market to no avail. So it says here she tried Zilkeen, tried DAP diffusers and collars, skull cap and valerian tablets, so that's a sort of, natural remedies. Serene, I don't know what that is.
Serenum.
Oh, Serenum. Oh, of course it is. It's because there's a gap in it, sorry. Serenum. And many more products that were available to buy, but nothing helped. Dog just shuts down and wants to dig. She then paid £700 to a behaviourist. That's a lot of money, isn't it? Who helped me rehabilitate this dog. It's taken 3 years, and I'm forever working at this. He said the fears in the dog's genes probably won't go away. Even though sometimes he'll be okay with bangs and thunder, other times he's hard work and just wants to dig and destroy things. He can never be left alone in case it rains, which also triggers him off. He doesn't want to do anything, but she can't ignore it. She's now thinking of Telentin Touch, T-Touch. Do you have any experience on whether this will help? Talk to you about that in a second. Spoke to 2 vets who said they didn't want to give sedatives as it still means the dog is fearful. I feel there must be something else. Any suggestions? Wow, what a question. I mean, crikey. Number 1, which we both picked up on, you've been working at it for 3 years, but the problem's still there. So I would either go back to your behaviourist or your vet, or maybe it's just that, you need to work with somebody different. That sometimes happens, right? Let's be honest about it. You should say that for a vet too, right? One vet might not be the right one. Go speak to them again. If it's still going on, that's quite a worry, isn't it? 3 years of intense, fear and phobia.
And also being really worried just about rain as well, which is obviously involved then with thunderstorms and things like that.
Of course, because that's what we call a predicting anxiety predictor, is that they think, with rain comes thunder and it gets really, really bad, right? T-Touch, absolutely fantastic. I know Sarah Fisher really well. She's one of the loveliest people she'll meet. Absolutely go ahead and look at that. But don't do it thinking that that's the magic pill that you missed out on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We know there's no magic pill.
There's not. And I would actually, you said that you tried DAP diffusers and all the rest of it and it didn't work. I would actually go back to square one, find the thing that makes your dog feel anxious and start working on that, low-level stuff. Don't wait for the big stuff, all right? But we'll give you some free advice on the Facebook page too. And I'll pick one more. Can we do one more? Yeah? Sorry. What's going on? It's like the Jez and Sarah show.
You're going to get the crook in a minute.
I know. Get things thrown at me in a second. And then we have here, this is a very similar one. Here, Joyce says, my 2-year-old male cat doesn't like strangers, all right? He stresses very easy. My neighbour came to feed him and my 2 other cats when we went away for a night, and when I got home he was scared and off his food for over a week. That's pretty significant, isn't it? How can we solve his anxiety? We went to have a holiday next year, but can't leave him as he is. Go for a cat-friendly holiday, Joyce. Take him with you. I would say that probably we've got actually a fear compounding or making it a bit worse, and that being, of course, that we went on holiday for over a week. a stranger came into the house, and then when the stranger went away, you weren't there. So it probably isn't just the stranger, it's most probably actually a combination of you being away and the stranger, right? And I would say, yeah, you need to work on desensitizing that to strangers, but you need to get a behaviourist in to help you with that. But we're going to run out of time very, very quickly. So let's start now. We're going to put loads of free advice on the Facebook page. I'll answer you some of the questions there. I'm sorry. Thank you so much to Sarah Endersby from SIVA. She has been fantastic. It's been lovely to have you here, and thank you for all of your help.
Sorry,
so
Joe.
now, we're going to go over to a video very, very quickly from Swindon's Needy Dogs. There is this week's Swindon's Needy Dog of the week who needs a home. So let's have a little look and learn about it.
We're going to go down to the pound. We're going to go and walk a little dog called Little Jack and get him out and get him a bit of exercise, let him have a bit of fun, save him being cooped up all day really. He's having a good time today. He's having a nice walk. It's a bit breezy, but I think he's liking that really. This is Jo. She's one of our dog walkers. She's a volunteer like myself. She comes down when she can, when she's got a day off or some free time, and she helps out with walking the dogs. Because normally we like two people to come down and walk the dogs. A bit of security for each other. So the lovely Jo helping me walk Little Jack today.
Jack is an absolute dream of a dog. He's so friendly, very relaxed, so interested when you take him out for a walk, and he's an absolute delight to walk. I try and come down as much as I can on my days off when I'm not working. It just literally just give me a couple of hours out of my time to come down, give the dogs a walk, which gets them out their kennels, gets them used to mixing with people again, and just brings a little bit of normality into their lives when during their times when they're in the pound.
Well, that was Jack from Swindon's Needy Dogs, and if you think you can give Jack a home, then get in touch. What's your email address, Jessie?
swindonneedydogs@gmail.com, I believe.
swindonneedydogs@gmail.com. It's on the screen. So, but it's all getting a bit exciting here on Vets Clinic. We're absolutely live, and we've got another dog in, and this is Sophie.
Yep.
And tell us a bit about Sophie.
Well, Sophie came in as a stray, came into the pound. She's done her 7 days. And she's now in foster with me. She's at my house, and we're a little bit concerned because we initially said she was quite skinny, but she seems to have a bit of a belly, so we're a little bit concerned.
What are you thinking?
Well, we're hoping that it might just be she's had too much food, but you never know whether it could be a pregnancy.
Okay. So what we're going to attempt to do here live in the clinic is to do some pregnancy diagnosis. So we don't know whether Sophie is or is not pregnant, so we're going to have a look and try and find out, and hopefully we'll give you some, I don't know, would it be good news or bad
I'm not
news?
sure really. I'm not sure. We don't want to encourage the population
we
really.
We don't, but naturally, you can't help but think it's good news when a dog's pregnant.
Yeah.
So she's it's hard to say looking at her, but anyway, we're going to ask my glamorous assistant Claire to come in and hold her. So let's first of all, I'll have a bit of a feel, and you can actually see quite easily there that she's got quite big nipples, and that could just be because she's had litters in the past. Some dogs just do have big nipples, so that's possibly an indication that she's pregnant. And then I'll just have a quick feel of her tummy, and you can only really feel a pregnancy from sort of 4 or 5 weeks at most, but actually I can definitely feel something in there, and I can feel something quite big, which is making me think actually she could well be pregnant. But the proof, to really prove that she's pregnant or not, we need to get some technological help, and we've got our ultrasound scanner. So we will just have a look with that. Jez, would you mind passing me the white bottle there? So, thank you, glamorous assistant number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this ultrasound scanner to have a look in her abdomen there. see what we can see. So, you ready for this, Sophie? Okay, right, let's have a look. Okay. Right, that is looking pretty good, Jessie. What you can see at the top there is, if I freeze that, so just freezing that image, you can see, I mean, the telltale sign of a pregnancy is having black, which is fluid, with things floating around in it, sort of at a very simple level. And we can see we've got two separate areas here, or one potentially here with some black fluid, and another one at the top. And if we just unfreeze that, we can hopefully get a bit more detail. Oh, there, that's looking better. Look at that. So at the top there, what we've got is, this is taking a slice through the rib cage of a puppy. So you've got you've got side-on ribs here. That's the heart in there. So we've definitely got at least one puppy. There's another one down here, and they're looking pretty decent sized puppies. I mean, they are going to be quite close to term, I think. So I think we're going to have a new arrival pretty soon. I'll see if I can get us a heartbeat just to make absolutely sure. It's always hard to know exactly how many puppies you have because there's so many bits of puppy floating around, but I would say we've definitely got multiple puppies here. We should have a heart. There's a heart. Did someone see that? There, look. Do you see that? See that beating bit? Can we have a finger, a stunt finger? There we are. That is beating heart of our puppy. Thank you, Jez. That's puppy number 1 at the top. Down below we've got puppy number 2. Might be able to get a heartbeat on that. What else have we got? Some limbs there. There's a bit of a leg. There's a bit of bone there in the leg. That white bit going across there. So, so congratulations, Jessie.
Oh, yeah.
Very pleased to say that Sophie is most definitely pregnant. Thank you very much, Claire.
Okay.
And I would say she is probably quite advanced in her pregnancy, and we could be looking at some puppies within the next week or two.
Crikey.
It's hard to know exactly just
ago.
from that quick look, but certainly she's in the last third of pregnancy, and we're going to get some puppies soon. And just from feeling, I would be thinking along the lines of perhaps 4 or 5 puppies, something like that.
All right.
Between 3 and 5, but it is quite hard to tell. So that's fantastic news. What's going to actually happen now
she'll
with
stay
Sophie?
with me while she has her puppies and until they're ready to go, really.
Okay, and so she'll have the puppies, you'll sort of look after them, get them vaccinated and so on, and then you're going to have 5 more dogs to find homes for.
Yeah, well, I mean, quite a lot of people like dogs this sort of size, and as you can see, she's really quiet and really calm. So, I mean, she'd be a really good dog for anybody, really.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have a problem finding homes, definitely.
Right, brilliant. Lovely. Well, that's a great sort of outcome for the end of the show. I mean, it's been a fantastic show. Thanks ever so much to Sarah for coming along, and thanks Jessie for popping in with Sophie. And it was lovely to be able to give you that exciting news live on the show.
Maybe we can keep them updated as well.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great. And when the puppies come, then we would love to see them on here. Absolutely. Yeah, everyone here loves a good puppy.
Maybe we can have a name the puppy competition or something.
You're coming up with fantastic ideas. Name the puppy. What a great idea. Maybe somehow we can raise some funds for Swindon Easy Dogs, or at least get more people knowing about you, so we can find more homes for these puppies. So, but we definitely look forward to seeing them when they arrive. So thank you very much. And just a quick reminder. Oh, sorry, we haven't finished. God, it's been such a packed show. We're an hour in and we've still got more to go. I've just been whispered, we're not done. We have got another video, and this moving on from newborn pups to rats. Earlier in the week, or at the end of last week, we actually had some 4 rather interesting visitors coming into the surgery for their operation, and we've got a video of what happened when we had 4 rats coming in on one day to be neutered. We've got a very interesting day of operating today here at Vet Clinic. We've got 4 of these lovely little rats. They're from a rescue centre, and there are 4 of them all come in to be castrated. Which is going to be quite interesting because it's not something we do routinely, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge to do 4 of them, but I'm sure they're all going to be absolutely fine. He's had his pre-med, so he's a little bit drowsy, he's got pain relief in his system, so the next step is to actually give him an anaesthetic, and unlike a cat or dog where we do that with an injection in the vein, followed by gas through a tube. With small mammals like rats, we just give them gas, and the sort of easiest and least stressful way to give them gas is in a chamber like this. And so we just pop him in there, pop the lid on, and we just fill that up with anaesthetic gas. So he breathes in, he goes to sleep, and once he's asleep, we use a little mask like this just to put over his nose, and that keeps the gas flowing and it keeps him asleep. The rat's all prepared. He's got the blue surgical scrub around the surgical site, which is the disinfectant. He's been clipped up there to remove all the fur. And he's also got the bubble wrap around him, and the reason for that is to keep him warm during the surgery, because small mammals like rats are very prone to heat loss during surgery, so we pop that around him just to keep him nice and warm. So we make an incision through the skin. Rats have very fatty testicles. There's an awful lot of fat in there, so that's the testicle coming out of the tunic, and then I'm just going to grab hold of this bit here, which is what's called the tunic of the testicle, which we need to keep closed. The actual operation technique is slightly different from if we were doing a dog or a cat. The anatomy is just slightly different in a rat. So there's, it's a very similar operation, but there's a few challenges and considerations that we just need to bear in mind with a rat compared to doing it, the operation in other species. So that's both testicles removed, all sutured up and ligatured off, and so now all that remains is to close up the wound. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put some stitches in just under the skin to hold everything together, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue actually in the skin itself, just to close up. So there'll be no stitches to take out, because with an animal like a rat, it's very fiddly to take the stitches out. So what we do is just close it up in a way that means they won't need to have any stitches removed. The whole operation was over in about 10 minutes, so it's really quite a straightforward procedure. Just got 3 more to do now. Well, that's the last one done, so that's all 4 rats castrated. They're all starting to recover well. The 3 that we've done already are through in the kennels, they're recovering very well, and number 4 will be joining them soon. So that's our 4 rats castrated. All fine. It was a bit of a daunting morning's work, but it's all gone well. Just time for a lunch, I think. Well, that was our little friends, the rats, coming in last week. They're all doing absolutely fine. It was a bit of a challenging day. It's not something we do every day of the week, and it's it's a routine operation for a dog or a cat. But suddenly you're faced with a completely different animal. It can be a bit of a challenge actually.
Yeah,
but
everything's so much tinier.
Yeah.
Do you wear those glasses with the big magnifying glasses?
No. But there are definitely challenges with the anaesthetic, delivery of the anaesthetic, keeping them warm and so on. So it's interesting.
They're much more valuable, aren't they? The smaller the animal.
Yeah, definitely. So that's pretty much the end of the show today. It's been a mammoth show. It's been fantastic. We've had some really great stuff all about phobias and fears with Sarah from Seva, and your brief Q&A that you managed to sort of squeeze in there.
Shoehorn in at the end.
And we've had pregnancy diagnosis live. I mean, how often does that happen?
Very cool.
So we've got new puppies coming up. So stick with us every Wednesday, and you'll be the first to see these new puppies when they arrive. And just want to remind you about some of our competitions. So we've got our competition on Facebook, the pet planking, pets in peculiar places. So send your emails in, media at Vets Clinic, register on vetsclinic.co.uk. You've got.
I'm choosing a winner for the Adaptil Facebook competition.
They've let you do that, have they?
Well, yeah. So the build a den competition. Yeah. So as Sarah was explaining earlier, you're going to design and build a den for your dog or cat or animal for fireworks season. Take a picture of them in it and upload it to the Adaptil page on Facebook, which I think is facebook.com/Adaptil, but have a little search for Adaptil and we'll put it on our Facebook page. And then I'm going to choose the winner, and they win a bed, sexy, comfy bed, and some Adaptil stuff too as well, so you can have a chilled out doggy day.
And that's not right. There's been a winner. We have a winner, haven't we, on the other Seva, the Fellowway competition, for how many cats can we squeeze into one of our kennels?
How many Allens can you see?
How many Allens can you fit in? And I think the correct answer, am I allowed to say the correct answer? It was 209, and the winner was
I said 210. I was one
I did
out.
tell you. Yeah.
Who is the winner? She's been announced on
I know.
Facebook. Marie?
Tracy.
Tracy.
Do you
Well
have a
done,
surname?
Tracy.
Danat. Tracy Danat.
Surround sound.
Well done, Tracy. I'm sure the people from Seaver will be in touch to deliver your
Yeah,
prize.
she wants some cool stuff.
And don't forget our Just Giving page as well if you want to support us for me throwing Jez off the top of the Swindon County
It's
Ground.
not going to happen. Unless you raise a lot of money, in which case I might jump off. I'm actually working that day, but I did say if somebody wants to see me thrown off.
That's
I
more
would.
entertaining. You're more
Absolutely.
value there than
Probably
you are
another
here.
behaviourist.
Anyway,
No,
let's
one more.
call it.
One
Can
more.
we not
I have to
call it
say,
a day?
no, 1 minute. In a minute, you
Try
can.
and get on.
Phobia workshops.
Yeah.
Really, really important. So if you live in or around the wonderful borough of Swindon, you can come along to our phobia workshops we're running here at Vets Clinic on October the 3rd, October the 10th, and October the 17th. They're 1 hour long. Please don't bring your pets with you. It's like a client information evening. We're going to show you all the different stuff and how it works, how to make sure your pets, we can reduce phobias in your pets. It can be about fireworks because it's topical.
Can it be about buttons?
It can be. General phobias too as well. We're going to specifically specialise or focus on fireworks phobias, but there are other
sounds
phobias
great.
we'll cover too. All you have to do is call or email here at Vets Clinic to book. It's only a tenner and you get a free Adaptil diffuser
No way.
worth 20 quid.
Really?
Yep.
10 quid
So
and
you
you
only-
get some-
yeah, exactly. So you get an hour with me, loads of tongue cool advice,
brilliant, isn't it?
free resources, and
Good old
free
Seaver.
Adaptil. Huh?
Yeah. How cool is that?
Joe, let's round it up.
Let's round it up. And what better way to round it up than a super pan round outside the glass windows to see lovely Sophie, the expectant mum, and all of her friends waving away. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.